And we are back. Welcome to a new summer season of RDS GP. Now, if Stage 1 of RDS Open felt like a continuation of the previous season, with its catastrophic weather conditions throughout the entire year, well then for Stage 1 of Grand Prix, the weather was dry. And oh, how we've missed that. And with that, let's head out to Moscow Raceway and begin this video review. Despite a lot of concern among the fans about the pilot roster for this year, the worst predictions did not come true. 29 drivers signed up for this event, including plenty of amateurs and some foreigners, the familiar Charles Eng, and a newcomer to this series, though not necessarily to drifting, Thomas Kiley. Contenders from the Junior Series, including last year's champion Anatoly Sherbak, Vlad Yerofeyev, and Ruslan Arefyev. Also a new team, albeit with just one driver, Anton Kolyemko. There has also been some shuffling around within the rest of the teams. The full list is on your screens, though sadly before qualifying, Anton Dmitrienko suffered engine failure, with the number of potential byruns increasing to 4. The judging assignment did not change in any dramatic way. In some spots the course was widened, in others narrowed. A new clip was added, and well, that's about it. It's worth noting that the clips are now more strictly judged, in that a car's wheel has to be going right over the line at the very least, as opposed to just grazing it. And the same goes for going off course. Another consideration is GPS refusing to work for obvious reasons, meaning the judges were doing things the old-fashioned way and using their eyes. Full assignment is on your screens, let's cover qualifying. A reminder that drivers go out for their runs in the order as drawn during the briefing. Group 1, Anton Kolyemko, Ilya Popov, Vladislav Yerofeyev, Ruslan Arefyev, and Pyotr Borodin. And some very strong results right off the bat. Almost all of them earned 90+ points at least once. Best in group was Borodin with his 93.5 and 96.5 points. Arefyev disappointed slightly, scoring 0 points in his first run due to straightening out, and 74.5 in his second. Group 2, Mikhail Davidans, Artur Zolyony, Georgy Chivchyan, Dmitry Putilin, Roman Tivadar, Artyom Leitis. Solid performances once again. The exceptions being Putilin 72.0 and Zolyony 79.76. Best in group was Gocha, who was a mere 1 point shy of his teammate, 95.5. Group number 3, consisting of Arkady Tsarogratsev, Grigory Gusiev, Yevgeny Losiev, Damir Idiatulin, Anatoly Sherbak, and Dmitry Sherbina. And once again, we see some very high scores, at least one 90+ run each, though Losiev and Sherbak both botched a run, one earning a 0, and the other close to 0, though their respective second runs were solid. But then our Centurion Idiatulin went out for his second run, and his performance was so good that the judges had no choice but to give him yet another triple-digit score. Take a look and see for yourselves. After a short break, it was time for Group 4 to go out. Denis Miguel, Timofey Dobrovolsky, Sergei Kuznetsov, Danila Vorobyov, Anton Kozlov, and Vladislav Popov. The only driver unable to reach the 90-point mark was Miguel, 67.84. Best in group was Kozlov with his score of 95. In the final group, Andrei Ostapov, Tommy Kiley, Ivan Pelman, Ilya Fyodorov, Charles Eng. More solid performances, with the exception of Eng, surprisingly enough, 77.0. Pelman also got a 0, though he did earn 91 points for his first run. Best in group was Kiley with a score of 95, though the best he could do with that score was get into the byrun zone, him being 4th, behind Chivchyan, Borodin, and best in qualifying Idiatulin. Let that sink in. The average score for qualifying was 89.6. Overall, I think it was good. It was more or less consistent. Looking back, the only thing I didn't like was the initiation. It's as if I leapt a bit too far forward. If I were to compare my runs to each other, I was a bit too late to initiate, which forced me to feather the throttle to a certain extent, as not to miss the inner touch and go. I was able to do that without correcting, and after that, right on the threshold of the deceleration zone, I started slowing down, smoothly added some angle, and then opened up early in the middle of the decel, after which I neatly drove through the inner touch and go, without correcting. It was a good run. Now let's cover Sunday and the tandem drifting. During the top 32, there were no controversial situations at all. If anything, this stage was fairly tame, especially the byruns where drivers were not going full tilt, and so let's get straight to the tandem battles. Charles Eng disappointed. He was not able to really do much against Sergei Kuznetsov. He did more or less decently following, but while in the lead he missed 3/2 of the 4s, and he was late to get on throttle. Kuznetsov in the meantime did alright leading, and a somewhat better job chasing. Same situation with Artur Zelyony. In his heat with Ilya Popov he lacked pace while following, his lead run wasn't too clean, while Ilya did a proper job in both roles. Anatoly Sherbak made things a bit nerve-wracking, but overall it's pretty obvious who won between him and Andrei Ostapov. Andrei's line in the lead was a bit worse, but he was more consistent and tighter in the chase. During the battle between Anton Kozlov and Dmitry Putilin, there was a bit of a situation. First, Putilin hit Kozlov while initiating, he overcooked it, and that was the end of the round. Then, while Anton was following, his car broke down, while Dmitry made it to the end. Nothing to compare, this goes to an OMT. Vladislav Popov made fairly easy work of Artyom Leitis. Artyom was very far behind in the valuable middle portion of the course, and while leading, he earned 17 line points against Vlad's 30. Ruslan Arefyev had nothing on Timofey Dobrovolsky during their battle. First he fell way behind the Swift Z driven by Timofey, and afterwards he let all 4 wheels go off course next to the 3s. Danilo Vorobyov tried to give Denis Miguel a hard time, but Denis was way more in tune with his Super than Danilo was with his freshly built E92. 27 line points against 22 and way more consistent performance in the chase meant that Fresh Racing's leader comes out on top. Grigory Gusiev continues to acclimate to his 90 series Supra, though his attempts haven't been awfully successful. The Super in particular stifled him against Roman Tividar. First he couldn't keep up while following, and then he forfeited the run by straightening out. As for Tividar's performance, no notes. Same story with Ilya Fyodorov. His Mustang is just way too heavy and cumbersome, while Arkady Tsarogratsev is in complete harmony with his Z. The result, a completely one-sided heat. The best heat of the top 32 had to be the one between Yevgeny Losyev and Dmitry Sherbina. Both did a great job in either role, though Yevgeny did have a slight edge, especially following. Vladislav Yerofeyev and Ivan Pelman were the second and final pair to have a collision during this competition stage. During round 1 both did a decent job, though neither was perfect, with Vlad earning 22 of the 30 line points, and getting on throttle in the wrong spot in Sector 3. This is with Ivan sticking fairly close, though somewhere between touch and goes 4 and 5 he did fall behind somewhat. For round 2, Pelman scored 19 points against a similar performance from Yerofeyev in the chase, and then he let off the gas right before the line, only to get hit by Vlad, who was not expecting that. Pelman is at fault for the collision, Yerofeyev wins. Anton Kliemko and Mikhail Davidyants were moved to the end of the grid upon Kliemko's request, but sadly this didn't seem to have helped Anton. He couldn't even initiate properly. Turns out an axle shaft popped out, though funnily enough it then slipped back into place, with Kliemko doing a terrific job during round 2. Mikhail in the meantime was missing clips as if on purpose, with his line score being cut almost in half, but he did earn a positive score, and as such he is in the top 16. and the sole OMT between Anton Kozlov and Dmitry Putilin, which wasn't overly spectacular. Anton was simply a tad better, both in the lead, 30 line points versus 23, and while following. From this point, the tandem battles were just amazing, and the further they got, the better they were. Though up until a certain moment, the outcomes were very much unambiguous. Damir Idiatulin stuck noticeably closer in the chase, winning the heat given comparable lead runs. Vladislav Yerofeyev still did well though. He has a bright future. The next pair of drivers performed similarly in the chase, though in the lead position Ilya Popov scored a good 10 points more than Sergei Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov's main shortcomings adding angle after touch and go 4, and losing pace right before touch and go 7. Popov wins. Tommy Kiley and Andrei Ostapov. More quality battling. But once again, mostly thanks to his chase run, Kiley gains a slight edge. Superb. Anton Kozlov versus Vladislav Popov. Another great heat, but if we compare lead runs as if this were qualifying, then Vlad has a 2-point advantage. There were some serious issues with Anton's style, also Popov did better following. A clear victory. For the next heat, the judges had to resort to a fairly new rule. During round 1, Pyotr Bordin gained a considerable advantage over Mikhail Davidans. Mikhail simply wasn't fast enough. Round 2 almost ended in a win for Pyotr, but there was a tap near the very end, right around touch and go 7. It seemed as if Mikhail was obviously at fault, with him adding angle and losing speed. However, Pyotr's improper positioning while trying to catch up, and the tap effectively at the on-throttle point also didn't sit well with the judges, with them deciding to invoke the mutual fault clause, which means this goes to an OMT. The following battle also went to an OMT. Once again, there was a compounding effect, albeit with somewhat different factors getting compounded. Timofey Dobrovolsky got a way cleaner and more confident lead run in, worth a good 99.5 points, while Denis Miguel missed a few too many clips. He scored 78 points, 18 of those being for line. On the other hand, Miguel did a fantastic job following, Dobrovolsky not so much, and the gap between them wasn't necessarily Miguel's fault, as he fell behind while initiating. You'd think the difference in lead run points would be enough to secure the win, but the judges posited that you don't win a heat with that sort of chasing, and sent this one to an OMT. The battle between teammates Georgy Chivchian and Roman Tivadar ended in Roman's first ever win against Gocha. He did such a tremendous job following that Gocha was forced to take risks when he was chasing. And the risk did not pay off. Georgy was a bit overzealous during the initiation, colliding with his opponent/teammate, stopping as a result, with Roman driving to the finish line and to victory. Another battle between teammates, Arkady Tsarogradtsev and Yevgeny Losiev, and Losiev was lacking pace. Even though they have identical cars, Yevgeny fell behind and never caught up, despite all of his efforts. Meanwhile, Arkady was clean in the lead and close in the chase. The outcome for OMT number 1 was clear as can be. This heat effectively ended the way it should have the first time. In the lead, Pyotr Bordin easily pulled away from Mikhail Davidans, and when came the latter's turn to lead, he was trying way too hard to be fast, blowing past touch and go 2 and allowing 3 wheels to go off in a valuable area. The second one was a bit more complicated. Timofey Dobrovolsky and Denis Miguel just couldn't find a proper rhythm. Again, a solid lead run by Timofey, 90 points of this were qualifying, points mostly removed for line, and another solid chase by Denis. then another somewhat sloppy lead run by Dennis, and once again Dobrovolsky did worse in the chase. But there is one important thing to note here. If during their first heat Dennis lost points mostly for line, then this time, given he earned a mere 84.5 points, it was for style. Having scored 27 out of 30 line points, Miguel earned just 25 out of the 35 style points. Once again, style means smoothness and consistency, and according to the judges, style was the issue here. Dobrovolsky couldn't get close to an inconsistent opponent. The editor had this going to an OM team, but the judges know better and they have a better view of what's going on, so... And now let's cover the top 8. The temperature at the track was rising, literally and figuratively, one awesome run after another, but this is where fine details came into play. Once again, for the first few battles there was little ambiguity, great performances by both Damir Idiatulin and Ilya Popov, though Damir was more precise in the lead and closer in the valuable areas while following. Tommy Kiley now versus Vladislav Popov. Two fantastic chase runs, our twins have really come a long way, but in the valuable areas Kiley was closer. For lead runs, both lost 9 points for line, Tommy missed the 7 and had a wheel off in a valuable area, while Vlad missed 3/2, 4 and had a wheel off. Another driver who has come a long way is Pyotr Borodin, who has immensely improved since last year. Up against Timofey Dobrovolsky, he got an excellent lead run in, and he was closer while following. Timofey, aside from his weaker performance in the chase, also missed a bunch of clips in the main curve. After watching this heat, the editor thought it to be the best of the event, though wait till you see what's coming. First, Arkady Tsarogratsev got a fantastic lead run in. Just once a wheel went off and he hit the no-go, that's another -2 points, though he was still able to hit touch and go 4. At that point he was clear of the higher penalty area. All the while Roman Tivadar was doing a great job chasing. Tivadar had a good chance of winning, but Tsarogratsev got it together and showed that there was room for improvement, staying door-to-door following his opponent the entire way. Tivadar was also performing well in the lead. He had a wheel go off as well, but in a valuable area, -5 points. From this angle it's not obvious, but bear in mind that the judges have footage to replay from every angle, which we don't have in the editing room. So for lead runs the scores are about the same, but however impossible it would have seemed after round 1, Tsarogratsev was somehow able to smash Tivadar in the chase position, a feat worthy of a round of applause. An OMT would have been quite nice to see him, but in the end, Arkady received a spot in the top 4, and he truly earned it. My best run of the day was the one with Roman Tivadar, because he gave me such a good smackdown when I was in the lead, and I was like, how can I even retaliate? I tried to take it to an OM team, but I even managed to win. The first semi-final battle was between teammates Damir Idiatulin and Tommy Kiley, and what a fierce battle it was. Tight driving, excellent lead and chase runs. But if we look at the scores, we'll see that Idiatulin earned 89 points for his lead run, with 26 of those being for line, 29 for style, while Kiley scored 95 points, and he was a tiny bit closer while following, earning his spot in the finals. My initiation behind him was not that great, I guess. I didn't get it right. He has a peculiar way of initiating, different from the other drivers. Even during Friday practice, I drove with local drivers and with him as well, and if with the locals I had to be careful braking during initiation, in order to stay close to them. In the case of Tommy, we get up to speed, initiate, and there's a gap between us. He has an interesting way of initiating, which I have yet to figure out, but this time the run was not off to a proper start, though round 2 went well, I think. For the second semi-final heat, lead run scores were pretty close, with Pyotr Borodin earning 97.5 and Arkady Tsarogratsev 99 points. Close, but not the same. On top of that, Tsarogratsev was closer in the valuable areas, and so he will face Kiley in the final race. Arkady was really fast. With the transition in the bend, unfortunately we didn't practice together, and so I wasn't prepared for that. As a result, he pulled away, and I had no chance of catching up to him. But before that, there's the battle for the bronze medal, and this one was a bit of a letdown. Damir Idiatulin in the lead wasn't quite as good as usual, and Pyotr Borodin wasn't too tight while following. Round 2 is where it all unraveled. Damir, trying to settle this one in the chase, lunged towards Pyotr at touch-and-go 4 before the on-throttle line. They collide and stop, it's obvious who's at fault, and third place goes to Pyotr Borodin. Of course, I would have wanted to make it to the end. The first round, when I was following, didn't go too well. I don't know. Perhaps he didn't open up when he was supposed to. He was lugging his engine. Anyway, I would have liked to be closer to him. But I expected him to be going faster after the initiation. And there was a bit of a gap between us. Then I noticed he didn't hit the inner zone. After, when he was following me, I did everything on time. That I'm sure of. But he got a bit too aggressive and there was a tap. It's drifting, these sorts of things happen. So it is what it is. We had a collision during round 2, when I was following, in the deceleration zone. When we entered the deceleration zone, he was still on throttle. In the middle of the decel, he started braking. And to me it felt, at the speed we were going, it felt as if it was time to get on throttle and power up the hill. But instead, he started braking right in the middle, and it seemed as if he would miss the touch-and-go. He did get on throttle, but right when he did, that's when the collision happened. I guess that's just sort of how he drives in that spot. Although, it did look like he was going to miss the inner touch-and-go. Touch-and-go 4. It just didn't go right. It's circumstantial, that's just how he took that curve. Then there was the late deceleration. And perhaps I should have been a bit more careful. Because it felt as if I could have won that round. But there was that collision and I lost. The fate of first and second place was not settled right away though. Remember we mentioned the best heat of the event? We'll soon get to that, but in this case the difference in lead run points between Tommy Kiley and Arkady Tsarogratsev was pretty dramatic, 97 and 84.5 respectively. But then surprisingly, Kiley did worse in the chase position, and Arkady's lower score was because of his line, not because he was trying to stifle his opponent. Does that sound familiar? Exactly. This is what played out during Dobrovolsky and Miguel's first heat. And the same phrase was used. You don't win a heat with that sort of chasing. Okay, let's watch that one more time then. And the second heat was amazing, unbelievable. Both drivers were on the limit of their own and their car's abilities. Kiley even called for a 5-minute timeout to swap tires in between runs, which Tsarogratsev decided not to do, but perhaps he should have, as given their similar and fantastic performances in the lead, Tommy was a bit closer following through the valuable initial sectors, earning victory in his debut event. Congratulations! He has a very peculiar way of initiating in the lead, Irish style. I remember Jack Shanahan doing the same thing. He does this prolonged flip, and in it pulls far away from the chaser. Then he opens up and goes, and it is really hard to read. I drove with him once during practice on Friday, and lost miserably to him. And just now when we went out for a tandem battle, once again I let him get away in that area, when we were sent to an OM team. There was a small gap. From there I was close the entire way. In the lead I missed some clips, and gave him that OMT. Because that run was mine. I could have won the first heat, but I missed two important clips. The judges thought I was running away from him. I mean, we're obviously all running away from each other. I was just sloppy. But his peculiar way of initiating, I only adapted to it the second time around, during that OMT. I read it right, followed in his steps. I was close, but that proved to not be enough, because in response he was even closer.
I put full trust in Arkasha in the lead run that he put out, which was perfect, and gave me the chance to really put it on the door. But yeah, there was moments where I was even thinking, this is crazy, it's not going to work, but it worked out in the end for us.
The first Grand Prix of this year proved to be a really interesting one. Honestly, it was better than expected, and the fact that newcomers landed podium finishes straight away was also a treat. And of course the weather, finally. But we'll see what happens next. On May 23rd and 24th, GP will be hosted by IGORA Drive, and prior to that, on the 16th and 17th, Round 2 of RDS Open will be held in Moscow. Though not at the Moscow Raceway, but rather at the Technical Sporting Center in Moscow. You can get tickets on tickets.vdrifte.ru and watch the broadcasts on RDS TV. In the case of RDS Open, free of charge after registering. That's it for this video, and now a word from our finalists. I had a pretty hard time during the off-season because Dennis and I were competing in a different series in Oman, and yeah, we were staying pretty busy in the off-season. Also, Nikita Miguelin, our director, was with us, and so we couldn't properly keep track of everything that was going on. Also, building a new car, servicing 3 existing cars, the ones we had last year, so it was challenging. I mean, there was nothing extraordinary happening, but still, 4 cars. That puts a lot of stress on the team. 4 drivers' cars. It's a completely different game. The off-season I spent in my country. I took part in the Winter Asia Drift Championship, where I came in 3rd overall. That's in terms of preparation. And a few practice sessions here and there. At my lot in various cars. And of course, lately in a simulator. Of course, I was in touch with the team in Krasnoyarsk. But the guys, they knew what to do anyway. They received some feedback after last season about how they can improve the car, what I need. But then the plan was, right before testing began, we decided we'd go with the tried and tested Gocha spec, the N1. So we came to Krasnoyarsk for testing, I went out, and something was wrong, the car wouldn't handle like it should. I got into Roman Tividar's car, Gocha got in, the suspension was working really well, and at the last moment they fitted a modified suspension to my car, made by Forward Racing, and so I had it for Stage 1. And things worked out pretty well. So initially we had a plan which we were going with, but then things went not as planned. But we got ready, came here to Moscow. I'd call it super hectic. We were preparing, our cars were all worn down by last year's rain. There was nothing left of them, so they required a complete overhaul. Also during the winter we were building a car for the Sochi Drift Challenge, which won a race straight away. But yeah, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, I think we've been talking with Fresh about coming here for a long time, so it was still a surprise getting the offer, but after becoming a champion in the Middle East, it was amazing to finally get the chance to join the team, and it's lived up to the expectations so far. Everything has been so professional, mechanics, the team, the car, everything has been just amazing. So I guess there was high expectations from all angles between the team, and the level of the driving here is very high with many years. Like I've been following this with over 6 years now, been watching RDS TV, supporting Fresh, and one of my friends back at home, Jack, who came here over 5 years ago. So I had very high expectations, and I'm really happy with how things went this weekend. So yeah, I can't believe it so far.
I got plenty of practice in, which also means I destroyed a bunch of tires. There was not a lot we had to do with the car, so we spent more time practicing. Also, I just have to mention the podium finish, otherwise things were going as planned. There was nothing extraordinary going on, the car was always serviced on time, things were getting done, and yeah. We were prepared in advance, but right before the event we had some boost-related issues, which meant that we couldn't go out on Thursday. Instead, on Thursday we were sorting the cars, and on Friday we didn't have enough time to do everything we planned to with the cars, so we lost an entire day. But that being said, during the course of the race we adapted in such a way that 3 out of our 4 drivers, and even then I was up against Losiv in the top 16. Anyway, 3 of us were in the top 8. That does not happen often to us. Moreover, this is the first ever time when all 4 of our drivers were in the top 16. All 4 of us. Those are some good results. The boys did great, they got some terrific runs in, and the Popovs took out some formidable drivers, like Anton Kozlov, Sergey in his new Supra. They did an awesome job. As for me, on Friday I was a bit upset because I thought, we're having issues, we might not have enough time to do this, that, and then I was like, whatever happens, happens. The weather's nice, at least it's warm and there's no rain. The fans are happy, and however we perform is just how it is. And things worked out more or less. It was quite an interesting one. There have been some changes to our driver's roster. Some new people have joined our team of mechanics. So yeah, we went into this one with a somewhat rejuvenated team. It was interesting to see everybody in action, especially the drivers. In previous years there were 3 of us, Dennis, Yevgeny, and myself. Yevgeny was always a competent driver, he always knew what had to be done, and I would also solve problems myself. We would always assist Dennis. But now that Tommy is on board, I mean, he's an excellent driver, but I still feel as if he has to adapt, that he needs some help and advice every now and then. When it comes to everyday stuff, he needs to be filled in on what's going on time frames and such. So yeah, I had to help him out. Also Sergey Kuznetsov, I had to give him pointers on the car. So yeah, I had to give a lot of my time to my teammates. Everything inside the team worked very differently during this event. But it was an interesting experience. And I did have a feeling that Tommy would be able to make it onto the podium. Which he did, he even got first place. To me it was evident that if we give him a car that's fully prepared in terms of grip and balance, because he hasn't yet fully studied the Supra, that he'll definitely post some good results. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was quite the experience, the level of elevation changes and the speed throughout the second corner. I mean, it's just mind-blowing and drifting. It's not that often that you'd get the chance to drive at this speed, but I think the cars here are to top level, so gave us the chance to push really hard and have full trust in the team and the car setup, so it was amazing. Can't believe it. I guess my worst runs were this morning during practice. Just couldn't find a rhythm to begin with, but we got back, we just refreshed everything and just tried to start with a clean sheet again, and it just picked up as best we went on. I think when we got to the finals, we found the rhythm in the chase, the best of all weekend. So I think from the very beginning, things just felt right for us. And I can't thank Nikita and Dennis enough at Fresh for making me welcome. They've pushed me from the beginning and it's worked out. So yeah, I haven't had any doubts from the very start. So very happy with how things are going. And it gave me the chance to push beyond my limits today. And it just paid off for us in some battles. So yeah, I think it was a crazy show, but I'm delighted. I can't even believe what happened yet. So it'll take a while to sink in, I think.
Last year it was also stage 2, and it was the one that went the best for me, where I beat Artyom Shabanov, made it to the top 8, and lost to Damir Idiatulin. But overall, IGORA has got an interesting layout, it's an interesting spot, so I mean, all of the RDS GP racetracks are interesting for me, because they're actual big racetracks and not parking lots. At all of them I love driving and practicing to get a better feel for my car and, yeah, work hard and the results will come. I love it, it's great for drifting. The uphill portion is peculiar, but you're going fast up the hill, so I like it as well. My transmission doesn't, though, because on it it's a really rough shift into fourth. But overall the layout is interesting and I like it. And Arseni's gonna be there. This'll be the first time he's with us at GP under UTS. And so I'm really curious to see what he can do, because he tells me he'll scratch up all of my doors, like, just give me a chance. And I tell him, you probably don't appreciate how much faster GP cars are compared to your Altezza. He's like, I don't care, as long as I get the start, you're all screwed. As long as the weather is the same as it was this time, it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I think IGORA is probably one of my favourites from the calendar, and we'll have to come out with a pretty confident result, I think, to keep the momentum up. I've been practicing on the simulator at home, so I've done a couple of laps in IGORA Drive already. And it's probably one of my favourite tracks, the transitions, and there's a lot of driving involved and a lot of high speed, so we're going to be prepared for it as best we can.
We've now got a really serious contender among us, whose abilities even surpass mine in certain aspects. I'm certain I can learn something from him, because out here at the MRW, this is the first time somebody's ever gotten that close to me. So I got some work to do.